What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Holley, and we are back for another episode of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley, episode 87. I'm getting there, inching higher and higher and higher. Thank you. You are far too kind. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I am so glad that you are here with me. I am Jesse Holley, the sports talk equivalent of Braille. People feel me when I speak. Remember, this is being shot at the one and only the Playmakers Sports Bar and Restaurant off of Highway 121 in the Colony. Come on down. Good food, good eats, good company, good scenery. Every now and again, you might see Michael in here. But come down here and check this bad boy out. Remember, follow us on all of your platforms, wherever you get your podcast from, Spotify and Apple. Follow us there. Leave some reviews. Leave some comments. Follow us on YouTube, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley, Fanatics Views. Follow us there on Instagram, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. On Facebook, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Mr. Fourth and Long, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow Fanatic Views on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all those places. Make sure you follow us. Put us in your notifications. Let that thing ring off every time we drop a brand new episode. You do not want to miss out on an opportunity to hear the goods that are coming out of my mouth. Do you hear and understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Then do what I told you to do and go hit the notification button, like and subscribe, all those good things, man. We'll get into this show. Remember, you know, those of you who know I like to get down, I like to get my motivation at the beginning, because let's be honest, a lot of you aren't going to be here at the end, and that's okay. Your boy Jay Holley is not for everybody. I'm just an acquired taste. But before you go, make sure you check out one of these episodes. At least give me 15 minutes before you ditch the show. And if you don't like it, find another episode. Keep searching and finding episodes until you love me. And then tell everybody about how amazing I am. All right, man, let's get my word of the day. And it is simply put, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. We, in today's world, in today's society, in the social media age that we live in, we consistently see things that at times could be very, very untrue. We see the cars, the clothes, the jewelry, the women, the men, the houses, the vacations, and we automatically assume, one, that those are actually real, and then two, that those happened without failure being a part of it. We think people from their 60 or 90-second videos have achieved this level of success just by simply wanting success. And we think that these levels of grandeur are achieved simply because we speak it into the atmosphere. And as my high school coach used to say, you don't get good by FM. And FM simply stood for effing magic. You got to put the work in. And with putting in that work, there's a lot of failures in the success stories. You know, you see the guys who will go play the tickets at Vegas and put the parlays in. And a lot of times, they'll only show you the winning tickets. They'll only show you when they hit big. They'll only show you when the numbers and the parlays worked. But there's a lot of missed tickets and failed tickets and losing tickets that it took to get to that winning parlay. Trust and believe you me. You look at these games, everybody ain't winning now. Everybody ain't winning. Vegas would not be Vegas if everybody was winning. Vegas is allowed to be Vegas, and the lights get to be on 24/7, 365, and it's a place that never sleeps because there's more losers than there are winners. So understand that if you have this goal of being successful at anything in your life, failure is part of that. So don't stop at failure, but understand that it isn't achievable success without the failing parts of it. So keep grinding no matter what. All right, man, let's get into this thing. The Cowboys, woof, they are still fighting. I know we're talking about the fighting Dan Campbell's. Maybe we'll talk about the fighting Michael McCarthy's. The Cowboys beat a hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers team and Sunday Night Football 26-24 at AT&T Stadium. And let me just give credit where credit is due. Earlier that day on Sunday, after the Washington Football Commanders defeated the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cowboys were eliminated, mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. Don't worry. Don't worry. We will be packing them up. I mean, they packed themselves up. But I'm going to put the tape on the box and pack. Not today. Don't have my props today. But don't worry. Your precious Cowboys will be packed up. But they learned earlier in that day that they were mathematically eliminated from playoff contentions. Jerry Jones spoke after the game and he said, when we found out about this, I went into the office of Mike McCarthy, and the look on our face and then the feeling in the room felt like we had lost somebody, like death. And I thought, and if you're being honest, many of you thought once that news came down that they were not only going to lose the game, but it was going to be bad. I got nothing else to play for. Why should we go out here and play hard? Tampa's on a heater right now. They're probably going to come into this house where the Cowboys haven't won but one other game at home this season and really cook up something. But the Cowboys players said, screw you. Screw you, Jesse. Screw you, people. Screw you who thought that we were going to lay down and die. And now they're playing the Grinch Who Stole Christmas to a lot of other football teams. And they go out there and they handle the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Initially, this game was led by Cooper Rush, who I thought between Cooper Rush and the way that Michael from Pittsburgh put a game plan together, Cooper Rush looked in control, looked confident. Maybe he was playing with the I don't give a damn, the YOLO. We got nothing to lose. We got nothing to play for. I'm just going to go out here and let this thing fly. And boy, did he. To the tune of 200 and about 30 yards in the first half. And CD, with that bum shoulder and all, was straight dog. Was a dog. Had 100 yards at half, and everything was clicking for the Cowboys in that first half. I thought the game plan was exquisite. The way they got the ball out early, they got the ball out quick. You knew that Todd Bowles was going to try to play some zone behind it and try to bring some guys up front. Now, I won't poo-poo on the parade, but we'll come back to this at a later date. I told you guys I wanted to see what this offensive line would be against competition equal to or greater than them. And Rico Dowdle, if you could be a good running back with competition equal to or greater than you. And boy, did you disappoint. But I won't get on the Rico train because what did he have? I got the stats right here. I got the play-by-play. Let me look at here on a second here. Yeah. Rico had 13 carries for 23 yards, 1.8 yards per carry. His longest run was 6 yards. So it didn't look good when you got against good teams. That's another conversation for another day. But the fight in this Cowboys team was very commendable, was very, very applaudable. And you saw a level of competing that honestly, against a good team, I ain't really seen all year. I mean, you had plays by guys like Donovan Wilson hitting, Maris Luafau hitting, Jordan Lewis, of course, he's been doing that all year long. Deron Bland was playing well up in the face of Mike Evans, press bumping, running him all day long. And that was a good matchup to see those two guys go at it. And the Cowboys came out of this game victorious. Quiet as it's kept. And Mike Tirico said this in the broadcast, and I thought it was brilliant. Brandon Aubrey was a machine. Brandon Aubrey had 1, 2, 3, 4 field goals in this game. He had a field goal of 58. he had a field goal of 49, another one at 58, another one at 53. And Mike Tirico said, kicking the ball from 50 yards for Brandon Aubrey is like a free throw. I thought that was so well put. It does feel like a free throw from 50-plus yards. He broke a record, the most 50-plus yard field goals in one season. He has 14. And you think about it, it's one of those unsung hero type things because there's so many other storylines in the game that you miss the fact that if he misses, he has 2 58-yarders. 2. If he misses either one of them, you lose by 1. When you think about it, he had a 49-yarder. He had 4, basically, let's round up. He had 4 50-yard field goals. He had 2 from 58. I think that's not talked about enough. And how he showed up in those moments. Another guy for the Cowboys that had to go in the offseason and get paid. I think when we talk about priority, special teams aren't talked about until special teams don't give you what you need. I thought Brandon Aubrey was timely, and he always kept them at bay. He kept the scoring drives, and he kept Tampa Bay at bay throughout the course of the game. But when you talk about 4 field goals, 12 points by himself from Brandon Aubrey, I think that was one of the unsung heroes of this football game. You saw guys step up. Nick Vigil, who barely practices because of the foot injury, step in, be a green dot guy. I thought the communication, not having Eric Kendricks in there due to injury, he did not suit up this game, that they would have some issues, some problems. They kind of corralled what was a really good running attack between Bucky Irvin and Rashad White. Bucky was 16 for 68. Rashad was 3 for 10. Now Baker did have 42 yards, but Baker has the ability to be mobile and he scrambles when the pocket breaks down. But I thought Mike Zimmer really put together a good scheme and mixing things up against that Liam Cohen offense. But the thing that comes down to this whole thing is they fought. They fought, man. And I didn't think that they would. And that's a testament to 2 things. The men on this team who believe in no matter what, go out here and play hard. There's a lot of guys, and I there's a part of me, and I don't know if this is cynical me or a guy who's just been in the locker room and seen a lot of this happen before. There's a lot of guys on this football team, and the names that I'm naming, who are still fighting for jobs and contracts. Jordan Lewis wants a new contract. I don't think he has the room to not play hard. Not that he would, but I don't think he has the room to do so. Deron Bland is a guy who's looking for a contract. Coming off a major foot injury, missed 10 games this year. Got to play hard. Guys like Nick Vigil, he's going to be looking for a team next year. Guys across that Cowboys offensive line. Brandon Aubrey, Kavontae Turpin. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on about guys who will be looking for contracts. And the guys who aren't looking for contracts, I'm now looking for 2 things. And this is pride aside, right? We're going to say pride is put aside because they play for pride. They play for the names on the back of their jersey. But 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Either the Cowboys are going to retain Michael McCarthy, Michael from Pittsburgh, and what you don't want to do is to look at a coach who's been retained and he looks back at you and say, in the moment where I was trying to save my job, I watched you week in and week out quit on me. Because that's going to be hard when you're trying to get a job next season and he's checking his list. He's looking at his list and he's checking it twice and he's trying to find out who was naughty and who was nice. That eye in the sky don't lie when he goes, wait, this was a guy right here. Oh, you want to come back? Oh, you're looking to, no, I watched you give up on me. Or when the new coach comes into town and now he's evaluating the talent that's on the roster and he goes, wow, these guys give up on the coach. I remember Marvin Lewis told me this my rookie year in Cincinnati. And And he said, I'm reluctant to bring in players that got their coaches fired. He said, because if you got your other coach fired, what the hell does it mean you're going to get me fired too? And if the coach got fired and the new guy comes in and he's like, you ain't play hard when your coach's job was on the line? Not a guy I want in the foxhole with me. So there's there's a bunch of that mixed into this thing, but nonetheless, you know, the words that Michael Parsons uttered a couple of weeks ago, they are starting to they're starting to grow in good favor. They're starting to look good, and when the new coach comes in, those guys who are looking at that, coach going to go, I saw the film, and when the coach's job was on the line, you laid down. Not a guy that I probably want on my team trying to start my new career with those guys. But again, shout out to those guys, man, because they played extremely hard. They played extremely well, and they got the victory. CeeDee Lamb, another record. He moved into, I think, 4th or 5th all-time in the most receiving yards in the first 4 years of career. He just passed Jerry Rice. He becomes only the second Cowboy receiver to go 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons to start his career with the team. He'll end this year with 1,000 plus yards and over 100 receptions. And I think CeeDee was one of the guys who had a label on him. A lot of people thought that CeeDee was a diva, you know, because he had his moments where he was kind of like, give me the damn ball. And that's maybe a wide receiver thing, but people felt some kind of way about that. And that CeeDee might have not always been for the team. I think over the last couple of weeks, what you see him dealing with that shoulder injury and him gutting it through and fighting it through, when basically there hasn't been anything on the line for a while. And for him to go out and to perform again, now I know he didn't play much. I think he played 2 or 3 snaps in the second half of that game, but did 100 yards in the first half of that game. And I don't know what the next 2 weeks will bring for CeeDee Lamb, but I think he's earned a lot of favor in the eyes of the fan base. I think he's earned a lot of favor in the eyes of the front office, and maybe even favor in the guys in his locker room. And that's big, because when you're trying to build a culture, when you're trying to get out of that we're a for self and diva type mentality, it's tough to when you're the lower tier guys, or you're just, you know, an average guy or a really good guy or below that, and now you want to lollygag around and not play with a little bit of injury, a little bit of hurt. Tyler Guyton, when you're not playing through things, a coach and a player in the locker room, CeeDee can go, hold on, dog. Hold on, dog. Hold on, player. Hold on, player. Now you telling me that because you a little bit nicked up that you not playing? You can't go? When I was out here giving us a shot when we had nothing going on, and I'm out here playing with this? Nah, playboy. Get in that training room. Get your rehab on. Do what you got to do, because we need you on Sunday. This is the part about being professional. Are you injured or are you hurt? A lot of guys are hurting. A lot of guys are hurting. But there's a very big difference between hurting and injured. And I thought him playing the way that he's played through that shoulder has set precedents for the other guys in that locker room. When you look up and one of the top 2 or 3 players on your team, the star, the big contract guy, who if CeeDee Lamb decided a couple weeks ago, man, AC joint, I'm out. Now I'm out. I don't think nobody would have blamed him. I wouldn't have blamed him. I wouldn't have called him soft. I wouldn't have called him. I'd have been like, cool, AC joint, go get that thing fixed up, get ready for 2025. But for him to keep thugging it out, and you can see it. I mean, he made the big play down the field, and he falls on the shoulder, and he's hurting. You see Dr. Cooper and Jim Mauer, and they're over there like under the shoulder pads trying to figure out what's going on with that shoulder. And he's just grinding it out. That to me is how you set culture. When your best players are willing to do the things like that, that's how you set culture. That's how CeeDee gets to have a voice in certain matters when he looks up and he goes, "Nah, you can't tell me about being banged up. Go turn on the film." And not only was I banged up, I was still out there balling with the backup quarterback. He wouldn't have been wrong to shut it down. Backup quarterback who throws the ball all over the place, gonna get me killed half the time. He would have been rightfully justified to shut it down, but he didn't. Jordan Lewis, guys like that who play hard all the time. What a great interception by Jordan Lewis. I mean, there were countless numbers of things of guys and players on this team who showed up and showed out in a way that was very, very, very admirable. And shout out to those guys. They have a big test coming up this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles are still playing for something. They're trying to fully secure that number one spot, get that bye week. But the Cowboys have decided, hey, since we're eliminated, our job is to do nothing but to ruffle and to destroy people's futures. Change their outcome, make them have a lesser seed or whatever it is. That's the Cowboys' method. They have turned into the Grinch that stole Christmas and the New Year and the next couple games between the Eagles and then the Washington Commanders. Cowboys are trying to be spoilers. And you know what? I look forward to seeing it. They've made this game entertaining, even though they have nothing to play for. So I'll keep watching because they gave me a reason to watch last week. So shout out to those guys. And I'll talk more about coaching. We got that coming up in another segment. But I'll talk more about coaching and what this probably means, in my eyes, to the coaching search or rehire of the Dallas Cowboys. Again, Cowboys beat the Bucs 26-24. And while their season is over, those son of a guns are still fighting. That's definitely honorable. All right, man, let's get into around sports. We witnessed our first college football playoff games happen last week. And boy, what word am I looking for? Did it not meet expectation? Did it not live up to the hype in which we thought it would be? The big boys did what the big boys were supposed to do. Texas absolutely dog walks Clemson. The score isn't indicative of how the game actually went. Texas defeated Clemson 38-24. The Ohio State Buckeyes went rough shop against the Tennessee Vols 42-17. Penn State worked SMU 38-10, and Notre Dame moonwalked all over the boys from Indiana. And my first response to this was, damn. First, because I'm an ACC dude. I'm an Atlantic Coast Conference dude. Boy, the ACC, we didn't show up. Golly, ACC. And I expected a little bit more from Clemson because I'm like, Clemson, you know, your coaches and your staff has kind of been in some big games. But this was big boy play. Now, I might be in the majority, but I enjoyed the first round for the teams that were ranked higher to get a home game. I like that. I think that's great for the university. I think that's great for revenue for that university and all surrounding cities that those universities sit in, because you're talking about Ubers being, spent and restaurants getting money and there's and family businesses and things of that nature, hotels and all that. I thought that's great. I thought that was great for those universities, for those cities, because that was money that wasn't anticipated. This weekend's cash flow for places like Penn State, for places like Notre Dame, for places like Texas and Austin, Texas, like Columbus, Ohio, they got a revenue boost. Revenue went up. Folks made rent money this week. Folks who were waitresses and waiters, they made rent. They made their car payment. They got a chance to actually go and to do some things that is profitable for the university. And not for the university, I shouldn't say that, for the people and the surrounding places of the university. But boy, Notre Dame looked good. And this hurts the case of who was ranked better or who was ranked higher or who was the better teams. Because Indiana, who all year long they didn't play anybody, and Frank Cignetti, not Frank Cignetti, that was his brother. His brother coached me, Frank Cignetti at Carolina. Kurt Cignetti. He all year long, he talked with he had a lot of swag in his talk. And then he got worked. He got worked against Ohio State, and then he got worked against Notre Dame. I guess they deserved to be there, but they didn't play like it. SMU, they just joined the big boy party and had a fantastic season. Played Clemson in the ACC championship game, lost in a close game, and then they found themselves in the playoffs, and they went up to Happy Valley and left Sad Valley. Just wasn't ready. You just didn't have the facilities. And when I mean the facilities, your offense and defensive line, you wasn't built for that battle. That was at the Big Ten. That Big Ten Husky. That Big Ten, they thick like cold oatmeal, like Sunday newspapers, like kindergarten pencils. Thick. And you could just tell they just weren't ready. They just weren't. They weren't ready for that physical of play. And these games, and football in general, it's run in the trenches. If you can block and protect and run, and then you can get after the quarterback on the other side, and when you start the game with 2 pick sixes, well, and shout out to SMU. If you've ever been to SMU Stadium, it's in the beautiful, we'll call it Highland Park, right? Highland Park. It's a very, very nice part of town. I can't afford to live in Highland Park. I used to live on the outskirts of Highland Park. Their stadium seats 45,000, maybe 35,000. They just did a renovation a couple years ago and added some seats to it. Oh, is it 45,000? It can't be more than 50,000. Well, yeah. I feel like Rump Arena, basketball arenas sit more. 32,000. Just to put that in perspective, right? This is a private university. SMU is private. Lots of money at SMU. But just to put this in a little bit of a perspective, we have a number of stadiums that probably, high school ones that probably sit as much, if not more. I mean, we got $70 million stadiums, high school stadiums in the state of Texas that probably sit 30,000, 25,000. So when you have to take a trip to Happy Valley at noon and there's a whiteout and it's 100,000 people. It's 100,000 people. That may be a shock to the system. SMU just didn't look ready to face that level of competition. But they did it. They'll learn from it. And now, Coach Lashley will be able to build his team differently. He'll be able to know, all right, now when I get out here recruiting, I need to beef up my interior. Not just for the ACC play, but if I'm going to return to the CFP, I know that I'm going to run into the likes of Penn State and Notre Dame's and Ohio State's and Georgia's and Texas of the world. And eventually LSU will get back good again. I'm going to have to face some very, 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 very stiff, tough competition. And they just wasn't ready. The flash and the finesse that SMU played with, that don't work in the cold with the big boys. When they thumping you and dumping you on your head. Now, you would think Tennessee, it's an SEC school. They're used to this. But Ohio State, I told you guys this a couple weeks ago, it's the best roster money can buy. They have the highest NIL payout of a roster. Ohio State, I'm not saying that they playing the best. They play well, but they may have the best roster out of anyone top to bottom. They have the best. They have a $20-something million NIL roster. Offensive line, defensive line, running back, receivers, DBs, linebackers. Now, there's some arguments that you can make about positions and what other schools may have positions, but for a roster standpoint, Ohio State has the best roster money can buy. And it showed. It showed. And now the next thing that we have to look for, because Texas are on a mission. And the only thing standing in the way between Texas and winning the national championship seems to be Georgia. And they'll have to end up playing them in the championship game if that matters, if they get there. But the next question that we're going to have, and this is going to be critical moving forward, is now you have teams like Arizona State and you have teams like Boise State who are going up against some of the big boys next week. I think, Ohio State, Oregon, they're comparable in what they do. I think Notre Dame and Georgia, they're comparable in the sense of they both can go out and they both get 3, 4, 5-star recruits, and they can understand the high level of competition and coaching and facilities and all that kind of stuff and playing in the big games. Boise State, in the Fiesta Bowl, they got to play Penn State. We're going Ashton Genty, my boy. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see when the big boys. And now, Penn State has been historically known to fold up like a cheap tent in big games. I think James Franklin is 1-14 playing against teams in the top 10, top 5, or something like that. So when the competition gets a little better for James Franklin, he nuts up. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I think Texas probably has the easiest of the matchups. In Arizona State, I just think Texas is too good. I do. Listen, Bo Scatterbarrow, what's his name? Bo Scatterbo. You're about to see what real life is like when you got to go up against this Texas defensive front. I feel that way. No knock against you. No knock against the white running back. No knock. But you're going to have a little bit more than effort and enthusiasm. You're going to have some real wiggle and skill. Effort only gets you so far. When you're going up against a guy who has just as much effort as you, but a hella more talented than you. So we'll see how that goes. Listen, does there need to be some change? Yes, and there will be. There will be. This thing will get looked at next year, and it'll get worked out next year. But no more than 12 teams. Don't add any more teams. Because honestly, there aren't 16 teams that deserve to be in this. There aren't. You can't name 16 teams that deserve to be in this competition because you're going to get more of the SMU 38-10 type situations. There aren't 16 other teams that deserve to be in this. I think 12 is enough. I think 12 will do. Now, how you want to decide who gets the home fields and those home games, I personally hope they don't go away from that. I do. And maybe they do once they find who the 12 teams are, then they can kind of regroup it, kind of say, all right, these are the 12 teams that we decided. And now within that, hockey did it a couple years ago. Remember hockey a couple years ago? It was like you went in at one certain seed, but every round that you went into, it got reseeded again. It was like if you were the 8th seed and you went to the next round, they could reseed you. I know they hated it. They ended up hating it, but I mean maybe. Right. But boys are going to say, well, you said that if we win the conference and this and this and that. So I don't know. I told you, NCAA and College Football Committee, y'all got problems on y'all hands. Y'all figure this out. Just don't eliminate the home games. Moving right along, Michael Vick. Yes, that Michael Vick. I like to remember Michael Vick as the game-changing left-handed quarterback from Virginia Tech that took the NFL by storm with his athletic ability and who had a rocket for an arm. And personal story, Michael Vick is the reason, not him personally, but his character in Madden many years ago is the reason I don't play video games today. Legit. Because I had a homeboy, his name is Davon Page. I had a homeboy that would get the Atlanta Falcons. In the old Madden games, what he used to do was you could change guys around, but he would put Michael Vick at quarterback. And at times, when I would be winning the game, because I actually have more football knowledge than him, and I can actually like play the game from a cerebral point. But when he needed to go win the game, all he would do was he would get Michael Vick, snap the ball, and he just would run back. And I'm having guys chase, and then he'll do one move, and then Michael Vick would just outrun everyone else up a sideline. Drove me crazy. I broke a controller that I had to work off to pay for to replace because I was so mad, and I was like, screw this game, and I never played a video game again. This was in high school. So this is like Madden, like 2000, high school. 2001. Well, when did he come into the league? He was in the league for sure, right? 2001, 2002. I know I was for sure still in high school. I was still in high school. So 2002, 2001. Yeah. So it was either 2001, 2002. I was still in high school, and I never played again. But Michael Vick has been named the new head football coach at Norfolk State. And this is pretty interesting because, of course, if you know Michael Vick, he's from the Virginia area. So maybe that will help in the process of recruiting. Now, here's the funny thing, and people change. I'm not going to keep people and say that they judge them the same way. Michael Vick was known for saying early in his football career that I really didn't watch film. Like he was quoted saying that he didn't watch film. And I think over time he grew out of that and became a professional and realized that my talent alone just wasn't going to get me where I needed to go. Unfortunately, he had a situation with the Dogs that kind of derailed his career. And he came back and he kind of put a nice little bow on the end of it. But is this the new norm for former NFL players? Of course, right now, the hottest name that has done this is Deion Sanders, right? Deion coached here in Texas at Trinity, ended up at Jackson State, and then moved on to Colorado. You got guys like Eddie George, former Heisman Trophy winner, Ohio State running back, Tennessee Titan. I think he led the league in rushing at some point in time. Is he in the Hall of Fame? He's in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Eddie George is the head coach at Tennessee State. Of course, Trent Dilfer is over at UAB. There was talks before that Ed Reed was about to get into coaching. And then there was talk even in this cycle that Ray Lewis was getting into coaching. But can you see, is this becoming a trend? Are you going to start seeing more former players? You see a lot of guys will go into the media. Some guys will go into the pro scouting thing. But the head coaching at the collegiate level, Bill Belichick just went back to college coaching the North Carolina Tar Heels. But could you see more of the prominent stars of the yesteryear NFL days now starting to take their talents to the college level and gain experience there head coaching? And I'm trying to think, who kind of paved the way for that to happen. I'm not going to say Deion, but I'm sure it was somebody before Deion that maybe did that. I'm just drawing a blank right now. But, is this the new wave?
It's actually only a college football Hall of Famer. He's a semifinalist right now.
Okay, so college football Hall of Famer. Nonetheless, Eddie George and now Michael Vick is the newest head coach at the collegiate level. I think that is – I'm interested. I'm interested to see what staff he puts together. I'm interested to see how he will handle this new era of football, this portal era, this NIL era. Being that you'll be at a HBCU, I'm assuming that the NIL money won't be as large, and so there has to be a different level of development. Because if you're going to be successful, yes, you're going to want to get some players. And this is where, and here's where Michael Vick can probably thrive. I talked about this the other day. With the way that college is going, And I told you guys, JUCO had just changed the law, and now you can go to JUCO for 2 years and not lose NCAA eligibility. So coaches on the college level, Division I and all other kind of stuff, will be taking guys from JUCO, the transfer portal, first. Those will be the guys that come to their teams and looked at first. So which means a lot of these high school kids will be left on the porch because there will be no scholarships for them. Because coaches will look and go, well, I got 3 or 4 years to make this right, so I'm diving in the portal. There's over 2,500 kids in the portal right now for 125 Division I universities. Like I said, I don't think Norfolk State will have a lot of money to deal with in the NIL era. But there will be a lot of high school kids that will be left out in the code because of transfer portal, the JUCO rule, and the NIL money that's being passed around to these schools. So that means Michael Vick will be able to pull from that pool and say, hey, I do have a pathway to the National Football League. I played there, and now I can kind of help coach you guys to get there. That's why it's going to be really critical about who he brings on his staff. And the guys on his staff, will this school be able to pay for those guys? Because quality coaching matters. It matters. Don't go get me homeboys. Don't go get me homeboys. Give me some guys that's going to be able to develop these players. I'm excited about it. I'll be definitely keeping a lookout for that and what Michael Vick does at Norfolk State. But congrats to Michael Vick and the Norfolk State. I hope this works out for the best and that you're the new name that we talk about jumping from the HBCU into the Division I Power 5 conference. Let's talk about head coaching. Now, the Cowboys won a game that didn't have really any meaning to it but pride. And as we begin to make this journey toward the end of the year, the one question that has remained in conversation has been, will Jerry Jones bring back Michael from Pittsburgh? And everyone has had their thoughts and their opinions about, and it has changed. There was a point in time where if I had polled the people would have said 100% do not bring back Mike McCarthy. And as time has went on and things have changed, right? Football is fluid. It changes every single day. But people have gone from 100% or there's a 0% chance that Michael McCarthy gets brought back to, not so fast, my friend. There's been 20%, 40%, 50%. Now there's some people in the world of sports that believe that there is a greater than 75% chance that Jerry Jones decides to run it back. And if you guys have followed me on any platform that I've done, initially, I was all for Mike McCarthy being the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I believed what Jerry believed. Here's a guy who has playoff experience, who has won a Super Bowl, who knows what to do, is an offensive mind, can get this thing on the right path to Lombardyville. And after 12-5 and 12-5 and 12-5, and now whatever this year will be, out of contention, I am still sitting at the 0% chance that they would bring or should bring Michael from Pittsburgh back. And let me tell you why. Michael from Pittsburgh was brought to the Dallas Cowboys because Jason Clapper Garrett had 10 years to get this thing to the promised land. And after a number of 8-8 seasons in mediocrity and average football play, he was finally let go. And the thought process was, hey, we're bringing in a guy here, and this is going to be the guy that gets us over the hump. Because if not, we could have kept Jason Garrett, and we know we would have been at least 9-8 every single year, and at least make the playoffs, and at least probably be a first-round exit. And the reason why I'm at it 100% because Michael has failed at the mission. The mission is to get to the Super Bowl. And under his tenure, he hasn't done that. I get it. He's had some pretty good seasons. 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. 36 wins in 3 years. Add on whatever the win total will be at the end of this year. But the fact remains the same. Michael from Pittsburgh has yet to get this team out of the first round. Get them to the second round, but then they get blown out. And so I'm under the impression of what changes. If the common denominator is that Jerry Jones and that front office will be the same, then they're going to draft the same, they're going to handle free agency the same, this is going to be the same result. Last year, they had a very healthy roster. You had the runner-up in the MVP conversation in Dak Prescott, and you got boat raced in the playoffs. And the reason being is because I think Michael from Pittsburgh is a good coach. But good coaches get taken out for slaughter against great coaches. And I don't believe when you start talking about the path to Lombardyville, you will have to go through, if not multiple of these coaches, but coaches of the name McVay, Shanahan, O'Connell, who am I missing? Shanahan, McVay, O'Connell, Campbell, no, we don't have to go through them to get to the, you don't have to go to get to the NFC Championship, the Super Bowl from the NFC side. But the likes of some of the great names. And those, to me, give their teams a competitive advantage from the sideline. When I line up Michael from Pittsburgh against Sean McVay has a competitive advantage from the coaching perspective. When I line up Michael from Pittsburgh with Kyle Shanahan has the competitive advantage. Dan Campbell / Ben Johnson has the competitive advantage from the sideline. Kevin O'Connell will have the advantage from the sideline. And the only way that you can help overcome good coaching is that you have to put a lot of superior talent. And if the Cowboys are unwilling to go out and spend heavy dollars on superior talent, then you're taking good talent and good coaching and going to face superior talent and superior coaching, or at least good talent and superior coaching, which means the equation you lose. And if this is going to be your means of how you're going to operate, then you're going to lose every single time. Now, all of this doesn't sit on the shoulders of Michael McCarthy, but a lot of it does. Because you are truly unwilling to step into the whatever century we're in, 21st century, 24th. You're unwilling to step into the year of 2024 and beyond and to get as creative as these other coaches are willing to do. And because of that, unfortunately, the end result is you probably having to go. Unfortunately. Because you don't give us a competitive advantage. We don't go into football games against teams that are equal to or greater than the Cowboys and go, you know what? Man, my coach better than them. We always are hoping you get into a certain bag. We don't know what bag you're going to get in from week out. And because of that, I can't trust that anymore. I can't. And I think it would be a slap in the face if they said, hey, we'll bring you back, Michael McCarthy, but you got to give up OC play calling. Now you just got to be a walk-around head coach. Because we kind of seen what that looked like a little bit with Kellen Moore was the OC, and you didn't manage games well like that. I think you not being involved in the game kind of just had you watching the game like a fan. And so you were missing challenges and timeouts were supposed to be called and what we were supposed to go for and not go for. So for that, I just think that we need to just move past it. Just let this thing go and search for something new. Now, people can ask me the question of, well, who then? And I can give you names. Will Jerry Jones hire them? I don't know. Because there is a point in time that you have to understand that it is something to coach the Dallas Cowboys. It's way more than football. And I don't know if there are people who can handle that. To be honest with you, no one can handle that. But again, I'm hoping that the circus that happens on the outside, that their competitive advantage on the field can overcome that. And I don't think we get that with Michael from Pittsburgh. You've seen what you've seen. You've seen this roster be loaded with talent. You've seen this roster have 7, 8, 9 Pro Bowlers on it, first team All Pros. You've seen it. And it ended in the same results. Getting to the playoffs, that just makes you a good coach. But you got to run into those dogs when you get there. And you've done nothing in your time here to show me that you have what it takes, whether it's in season or in the playoffs, that when you go up against those dogs, that you have an answer. And that's forever going to be a knock against you. And if the Joneses are unwilling to put large amounts of money into the offseason, into that first initial high-ranking pool of free agents, then you'll just be good enough to get to the playoffs and nothing more, because you'll be severely outmatched from a coaching aspect on the sidelines. I'll end with this, and it's a Travis Hunter story. Travis Hunter. And I'm not going to where you think I'm going. I don't have any relationship advice. Do what you want, young fella. Whatever. But I do have an evaluation advice. Not advice, but question. It's been rolling around in my mind. Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner, is undoubtedly a top 5 pick and will be a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft. But the thing that's been rolling around in my mind is, does this situation that's happening with his girlfriend, fiancée, the young lady, does this impact his draft status? Because the more the young man begins to talk, the more you kind of have found a little bit of chink in his armor. And if I'm a team like the New York Giants, who will be picking very high in this draft, and I decide I'm going to go with a player like Travis Hunter, I have to ask the question, will he be able to handle the media criticism that comes with the rough and tough way that New York media is handled? When he gets into the combine, we've all heard the stories of how some of these combine interviews go. We've all heard it. They get in there and they get very, very personal about your mama, about your girlfriend, about your personal life, whether you stealing, whether you dealing, whether you raping, whether you faking, all of it. They don't hold any punches in these conversations. Will this have an impact? We went back and forth last year, Tay. We went back and forth, argued it out about Caleb Williams. And it was simply because he cried in the arms of his mom. But that was the thing. It was like, your thing was, I can't take a guy number 1 overall who, after a game that he lost, cried in his mom's arms. Publicly. Okay. Can I take a guy number 1 overall that came out publicly and said, you know what, man? This is affecting me. This got me down. This got me in a bad space that the people coming on online, a place where you can actually go away from. You can actually close your laptop. You can actually turn off your phone. You don't have to have these apps. Oh, by the way, Travis Hunter deactivated his Instagram. So it is getting to him. I have to ask the question, if I'm a talent evaluator, if I'm getting ready to put my head coaching, my GMship, my ownership, and I'm saying the talent is there, but this is bothering him. Does this go away? Is he going to break up with this girl? If he breaks up with this girl, how does that affect him mentally? Does he say, because he's saying these things publicly. Caleb cried publicly. Travis is saying publicly, this is getting to me. Now, who's to say if you get into the league and you're in the New York media? We were doing this pre-show and we were just doing some things around, and you Googled, right, Tay? You Googled Travis Hunter. USA Today, Inquirer, TMZ, everywhere is writing articles about this kid and his relationship. It's not going to stop when you become a New York City player. If that's where you go. If that's where you go. But I have to ask the questions. So when I get my time with you in Indianapolis at the Combine, because he's going to be a hot commodity. Everybody's going to want to talk to Travis Hunter. He's that good of a talent. He's going that high in the draft. The question won't be character. He has nothing on his ledger that says he is bad character. You see him signing autographs. You see him doing charitable things. You see, kid loves to fish and play video games. He not with Shador in the clubs. He ain't got the gaudy jewelry, right? Don't have nothing. Student. This kid's a 4.0 student. There's nothing in his folder that says anything. But this. And this is going to be a question that he's going to have to answer 150,000 times in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months. Wherever he goes and trains, I know a lot of these training facilities, they do pre-draft prep. You know, get up on the board and do the X's and O's, right? Give me your best coverage. Give me your best offensive play. Write it out.
Do they do psych stuff, psychological stuff?
You take a test. You take the Wonderlic test. But their job is when they put you in that room is to ask the most uncomfortable questions to see how you react. Will you react in the heart of it all? Will you have the pulse of a serial killer where it doesn't go high, doesn't go low, you just answer the questions? But if I'm going to say, hey, brother, you were on social media and you played this clip that says, right here, that's you, right? Yes? Okay, cool. Right here, because we're the New York Football Giants and we have the number 1 overall pick and we're looking to take you. But you said this affected you. Is she a part of the future? Is she a part of the plan? Is there going to be a breakup? Is this going to get toxic? Will we get a call in the middle of the night that you guys got into a fight? Would she be calling NYPD to come get you out of the house because there was a dispute? What? I need answers. I need answers. And every team is going to dig and dig and dig. And the things that you may not have thought, whether she's stripping or OnlyFans or being in the music video, whatever that is, they're going to find it. They are going to find it. And they're going to have the receipts. And they're going to say, yeah. Is that her in this video? They're going to ask the question. they're going to know how you're going to react. So I'm not into. Listen, do what you want with your life. It ain't my life. It ain't my stress. Listen, my hairline is already receding. I don't need no more stress in my life anyway. But my question is, how will this affect and impact the evaluation of Travis Hunter going forward? Because you're showing us publicly that a relationship, I don't know if it's puppy love, I don't know if it's real love, I don't know what it is, but you're showing us right now, and you're saying that you're going to marry this girl as soon as you get drafted. And you're already dealing with this. I just, again, I don't care about the relationship. Y'all do what y'all do. But I'm interested to see how this plays out in the Travis Hunter evaluation, because Adam Schefter's going to talk about it. Todd McShay's going to talk about it. What's the other one? Who's Todd McShay's mentor? Mel Kiper is going to talk about it. You're going to see Louis Riddick talk about it. It's going to be on all of the blogs. It's going to be, when we get into the combine evaluation, this is going to be topic number one. We know you can play ball. And maybe it should just be football. But it ain't, because this stuff impacts you. This stuff impacts you. If you can't sleep at night and you stressed out, you ain't eating and you ain't sleeping and you ain't resting, for a dude that's playing 100 snaps, the one thing that you need is rest. But if you can't rest at night because you up thinking about if she ain't laying next to you, what she actually doing, or what they actually saying about you, and you ain't getting what you need to get, now you come out here and you dropping balls and you missing coverage and all that. I'm interested to see how this plays out in the evaluation process. That's it for your boy, Jay Holley, man. Remember, follow us, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley, on YouTube. Hit the like, subscribe button, leave a comment. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Follow me at Mr. Fourth and Long. Follow Fanatics Views on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Mr. Fourth and Long on Twitter. Follow me there. Apple, Spotify, where you can find Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Put it in the group chat. Yeah, man, that's it for me. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. I want to see you all win, but also know that when you are on your way to winning, that you may be derailed a little bit by failure. Don't stop. Keep going. That's it for your boy, Jay Holley, man. You know what it is. Eliminate the contingencies. I'm out.